Welcome to Cults and Secret Societies. I'm your host, Ben Carter. In the dark corners of the internet and in the hushed whispers behind closed doors, you can hear the tales of a clandestine group known as the Space Brothers. This isn't a science fiction novel or a late-night radio show dealing in otherworldly phenomena. This is real life, and the beliefs and practices of this group have led to dire consequences. The doctrine of the Space Brothers is rooted in the belief in extraterrestrial life. But their faith extends far beyond the simple belief in beings from other planets. They believe that these extraterrestrial beings are spiritually superior and that they offer humanity a path to enlightenment. As the name suggests, they view these beings not as distant alien entities, but as siblings, elder brothers, who have come from the far reaches of the cosmos to guide us. But what happens when this belief turns deadly? In the year 2000, a series of tragic events unfolded that shook the world. In a quiet neighborhood in the city of San Diego, California, the bodies of 39 members of the Heaven's Gate cult were discovered. This was not a mass murder, but a mass suicide. The group believed that an extraterrestrial spacecraft was hiding behind the Hale-Bopp comet, and that by leaving their earthly bodies, they could ascend to this spacecraft and finally meet their cosmic brethren. This is perhaps the most infamous incident involving a UFO cult, but it is far from the only one. There are many other groups, both past and present, who share similar beliefs and have taken extreme actions based on these beliefs. One such group is the Order of the Solar Temple, a cult that originated in Switzerland in the 1980s. The group believes in the existence of a galactic federation of aliens, and that human life on Earth is a mere stepping stone to a more advanced spiritual existence on other planets. In the mid-90s, more than 70 members of the group died in a series of mass suicides in Switzerland and Canada, believing that their deaths would allow them to ascend to a new life on a mythical planet called Sirius. These stories are chilling reminders of the potential dangers of unswerving belief, especially when these beliefs involve entities and realms beyond our understanding. In our exploration of the Space Brothers and their beliefs, we must tread carefully, for we are not just dealing with conspiracy theories, but with real lives and real tragedies. And yet the allure of the unknown, the promise of a cosmic connection, continues to draw people in. What drives this fascination, and how can it turn so deadly? As we delve deeper into the world of UFO cults, we will attempt to answer these questions. Understanding the origins and historical context of UFO cults requires a journey into the cultural, political, and spiritual landscape of the mid-20th century. The term UFO itself was first coined in 1947, following an incident where a private pilot, Kenneth Arnold, reported seeing 9 high-speed, crescent-shaped objects near Mount Rainier in Washington state. This was the first widely reported instance of an unidentified flying object in the United States, and it sparked a nationwide fascination with the possibility of extraterrestrial life. In the midst of the Cold War, a period filled with fear and uncertainty, the fascination with the unknown and the otherworldly provided an escape. The space age was dawning, and with it came a sense of boundless possibilities. New spiritual movements began to emerge, combining elements of science fiction, ancient mythology, and Eastern philosophy. One such movement was Theosophy, a spiritual tradition that believes in the existence of ascended masters, enlightened beings who guide humanity from the spiritual realm. This belief system laid the groundwork for what would later become the phenomenon of UFO cults. One of the earliest UFO cults was the Aetherius Society, founded in the United Kingdom in the 1950s by a man named George King. King claimed to be in telepathic contact with cosmic entities, whom he referred to as the Space Brothers. He preached a message of peace, spiritual evolution, and the idea that Earth was part of a larger interstellar community. Despite their seemingly benevolent beliefs, these groups were often shrouded in secrecy. This was in part due to the stigma associated with their unconventional beliefs, but also because of the nature of their practices. Many UFO cults were structured as hierarchical orders, with knowledge and rituals reserved for the initiated. This secretive existence laid the foundation for the potential for manipulation and control, which in some cases would prove deadly. The cultural, political, and spiritual conditions of the mid-20th century provided fertile ground for the emergence of UFO cults. The combination of Cold War anxieties, the dawn of the space age, the rise of new spiritual movements, and the allure of the unknown created a perfect storm for groups like the Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate to take root. In the next segment, we will delve into the belief systems of these groups, exploring the allure of their teachings and the fatal consequences of their unswerving devotion. The Order of the Solar Temple, also known as the OST, was one of the most notorious and deadly UFO cults. Founded in the 1970s in Geneva, Switzerland, by Luc Jouret, a homeopathic doctor, and Joseph Dimambro, a self-proclaimed spiritual leader, the group was built on a complex mixture of beliefs. The OST combined elements of Christianity, New Age philosophy, UFO mythology, and even conspiracy theories. They believed themselves to be the reincarnations of the Knights Templar, an ancient Christian military order, and were on a mission to prepare the world for the return of Christ, who, according to their doctrine, would arrive in a spaceship. Luc Jouret, as the charismatic figurehead, was the public face of the OST. He gave lectures and seminars, presenting the group's teachings as a path toward spiritual enlightenment. Behind the scenes, Joseph Dimambro was the one who enforced the group's rules and rituals, ensuring the members' loyalty and obedience. Together, they created a closed community that was deeply secretive and highly controlled. The group's teachings were shared through mystical rituals, some of which involved the use of symbols and sacred objects, like swords and robes, borrowed from the Knights Templar tradition. The members were also subjected to grueling initiation ceremonies, designed to test their devotion and commitment. These rituals served as an effective tool for mind control, isolating the members from the outside world and reinforcing their dependence on the group. Meanwhile, in the United States, another group was forming under the leadership of Marshall Herff Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. Known as Heaven's Gate, this group also combined elements of Christianity with beliefs about extraterrestrials. Applewhite and Nettles claimed to be the two witnesses mentioned in the Book of Revelation, sent to Earth to guide their followers to a higher evolutionary level. They believed that the human body was merely a vehicle, which they referred to as a container, and that their true selves were extraterrestrial beings waiting to be transported to a spaceship traveling behind the Hale-Bopp comet. Just like the Order of the Solar Temple, followers of Heaven's Gate were subjected to strict rules and rituals. They lived ascetic lives, renouncing worldly possessions, relationships, and even their identities. This was all part of their preparation for the exit, a term they used for the act of leaving their human bodies and ascending to a higher plane of existence. As we can see, the allure of these groups lay not just in their unique blend of spirituality and science fiction, but also in the sense of belonging and purpose that they offered their followers. However, this sense of purpose came at a steep price. In the case of both the Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate, their beliefs would ultimately lead to tragic ends. With the backdrop of these two groups in mind, let's delve into the shadowy realm of conspiracy theories that have been woven around them. The Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate, despite their distinct doctrines, have been the subjects of numerous conspiracies, reflecting the public's fascination and, at times, fear of their secretive operations. One of the most prominent conspiracy theories associated with the Order of the Solar Temple centers around the belief in a hidden agenda. Some speculate that the group's leaders, Jouret and Dimambro, were not just spiritual guides, but were using the group as a front for more nefarious activities. The group's secretive nature, its high-ranking members in society, and the unusual deaths of several members have fueled these speculations. A theory has circulated that the order was involved in arms trafficking or money laundering, using its vast network of influential members to carry out illegal activities under the guise of spiritual gatherings. Others speculate that the group's leaders were part of a global shadow government, manipulating world events from behind the scenes. Parallel to these, Heaven's Gate has also been the subject of several conspiracy theories. The group's belief in extraterrestrial life, coupled with their secretive lifestyle, led to speculations that they were in contact with alien beings. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that the group's leaders, Applewhite and Nettles, were themselves extraterrestrials, sent to Earth to recruit humans for a cosmic journey. Another conspiracy theory, one that gains traction on fringe internet forums, suggests that Heaven's Gate was a social experiment, a government project aimed at studying the effects of psychological manipulation and isolation. The theory goes that the group's public suicide was orchestrated to cover up the experiment's existence. What makes these conspiracy theories so pervasive is how they play into our collective fears and uncertainties. They hinge on the existence of a hidden, powerful entity, manipulating events and people for their own ends. Whether it's a shadowy global government or advanced extraterrestrial life, the conspiracy theories surrounding the Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate feed into our fascination with the unknown and the forbidden. But while these theories may be intriguing, they also serve to obscure the tragic reality that these groups were led by charismatic individuals who exploited the human need for belonging and purpose, with disastrous consequences. The allure of secret knowledge, of being part of a chosen few, proved a potent lure for those seeking meaning in a complex and often chaotic world. In the realm of secret societies and cults, the use of symbols, codes, and rituals is key to maintain secrecy, control, and power. These elements not only create a sense of exclusivity and unity, but also serve as veiled communication channels, ensuring that only the initiated can understand their true significance and meaning. The Order of the Solar Temple, for instance, used a variety of esoteric symbols rooted in the Rosicrucian tradition. Rosicrucianism is an esoteric order, believed to have been founded in late medieval Germany, that is concerned with the study of ancient mystical, philosophical, and religious doctrines. The solar cross, a symbol comprising a cross inside a circle, was frequently used by the order. This emblem, with its interplay of lines and circles, is said to represent the unification of opposites, a theme central to many esoteric traditions. Similarly, the group employed a secret language, a coded dialect that was taught only to its inner circle. This language echoed the spiritual hierarchies they believed in, dividing humanity into grades of spiritual enlightenment. Through this coded dialect, the leaders could control the narrative, frame the group's beliefs in a way that was impenetrable to outsiders, and reinforce the sense of exclusivity and superiority among members. In contrast, Heaven's Gate used symbols and codes that were far more contemporary, reflecting their belief in the intersection of spirituality and science. The group's emblem was a key with a triangle at the top, which they believed symbolized the key to higher knowledge. They also made use of the computer language in their teachings, often using terms like rebooting, programming, and system upgrades to describe spiritual processes. Their rituals, too, were a blend of New Age practices and science fiction. Members were required to maintain a strict diet and follow rigorous routines, aimed at purifying their bodies for their journey to the higher level. These practices were cloaked in a language of transcendence and evolution, reinforcing the group's belief in their special destiny. In both the Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate, these symbols, codes, and rituals acted as powerful tools of persuasion and control. They fostered an us versus them mentality, isolating members from the outside world and reinforcing the group's distinct identities. They created a world that was self-referential and self-affirming, a world where the leader's authority was unquestioned and their narratives unchallenged. This, in turn, allowed them to manipulate their followers, drawing them deeper into their convoluted ideologies and ultimately leading them down a path of self-destruction. Throughout the decades, individuals and organizations have attempted to expose the true nature of groups like the Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate. However, the methods employed by these groups to deflect suspicion and maintain their secrecy have been as enigmatic as the beliefs they espoused. In the late 1980s, a Swiss journalist named Luc Bourgeault began investigating the Order of the Solar Temple. Bourgeault fascinated by the group's blend of New Age spirituality and apocalypticism, sought to uncover the truth behind their secretive operations. However, as he delved deeper, he found himself facing increasing resistance. The Order, aware of his investigations, began a campaign of disinformation to discredit him. False stories were spread about his professional conduct and personal life, casting doubt on his credibility. Similarly, in the mid-1990s, former Heaven's Gate member Rio D'Angelo attempted to expose the group's dangerous beliefs and practices. Having managed to leave the group, D'Angelo sought to warn others about their apocalyptic teachings, but his attempts were met with threats of legal action from the group's leaders, who claimed that he was spreading false information. In both cases, the groups utilized a combination of deflection, disinformation, and threats to quash attempts at exposure. They understood that their survival relied on maintaining the secrecy of their operations and the belief systems that underpinned them. Any challenge to their narrative was perceived as a direct threat and was met with swift and decisive action. But these were not the only instances of cover-ups and denials. Over the years, many former members and investigative journalists have come forward with accounts of intimidation and misinformation campaigns aimed at silencing those who sought to expose the truth. In each case, the groups have shown an uncanny ability to adapt their tactics, using everything from legal threats to character assassination to maintain their secrecy and control. Yet, despite these obstacles, the truth has a way of emerging. The tragic deaths that marked the end of both the Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate were shocking reminders of the dangers inherent in such groups, and they served as a catalyst for further investigations, illuminating the dark corners of these organizations and revealing the chilling depths of their manipulation and control. In the face of this exposure, the groups could no longer deny the destructive consequences of their beliefs. But by then, for many of their followers, it was too late. The damage had been done, and the cost, paid in human lives, was tragically high. The esoteric teachings that fueled these groups were as complex as they were captivating. Both the Order of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate held a complicated blend of beliefs that fused elements of Christianity, New Age spirituality, ufology, and occultism. These beliefs were not just abstract philosophies, but directives that guided every aspect of their daily lives. At the heart of the Order of the Solar Temple's teachings was a belief in a cosmic hierarchy of spiritual beings, known as the Solar Brotherhood. They believed humanity was on the brink of a global catastrophe, after which a new golden age would dawn. To achieve this, they had to demonstrate their worthiness to these celestial entities through a ritual of transit, which involved taking their own lives. This transit, they believed, would allow their souls to travel to a new life on a mythical planet orbiting the star Sirius. It was a journey they saw not as an end, but as a necessary transformation to ascend to a higher spiritual plane. Heaven's Gate, on the other hand, held a belief system that was a blend of Christian millenarianism and science fiction. They believed that the Earth was soon to be wiped clean, recycled, and that the only chance for their consciousness to survive was to leave their human bodies at the appointed time. This belief was rooted in a dualistic view of the self. Each member was seen as a vehicle hosting an immortal extraterrestrial soul. The group's leaders, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles, taught that these souls had originated in the next level, a physical yet evolved place in the universe, and that physical bodies were mere vessels to be discarded. Both groups saw the physical world as a place of corruption and decay. They believed that the true divine realm was elsewhere, in the stars, and that salvation could only be achieved by leaving the earth behind. This otherworldly focus allowed the group's leaders to justify the radical actions they were advocating. After all, if the earth is just a stepping stone to a higher plane of existence, what does it matter what happens here? These beliefs provided a sense of purpose and meaning to their followers, many of whom felt alienated or disillusioned with mainstream society. The promise of a new, better world, free from the suffering and injustices of the physical realm, was a powerful lure. It offered a sense of belonging, a community of like-minded individuals united in their quest for spiritual transcendence. But as we will see, these beliefs also had a darker side, one that would lead to tragedy and loss. As we trace the influence of the ideologies espoused by the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate, it's clear that their impact has reverberated beyond their dire ends, extending into the wider cultural landscape. These tragic events have sparked debates and raised questions about the nature of belief, manipulation, and the extent of personal freedom. In the media, these extreme cases have served as a warning about the dangers of unchecked belief and the power of persuasion. Documentaries, news pieces, and even fiction works have explored the narratives of these groups, contributing to a heightened awareness and a certain wariness towards fringe belief systems. The Heaven's Gate story, in particular, has been featured in numerous films, TV shows, and podcasts, both as a cautionary tale and as a source of morbid fascination. In the realm of religion and spirituality, these events have also had a significant impact. They've spurred discussions about the intersection of faith, science, and that elusive quest for meaning that drives many to explore the metaphysical. The blending of Christian doctrine with extraterrestrial beliefs, as seen in Heaven's Gate, has shed light on the fluidity and subjectivity of religious and spiritual interpretation. It's prompted many to question the nature of belief itself. What makes one faith more credible than another? How do we navigate the blurred lines between spirituality and delusion? In the field of education, these events have informed the study of cult dynamics, group psychology, and the sociology of religion. They've highlighted the importance of critical thinking skills, media literacy, and a nuanced understanding of manipulation tactics. Educational programs and resources have been developed to help individuals recognize and resist coercive persuasion techniques. Importantly, these tragic events have also influenced the legal and political landscape. In the aftermath of the Solar Temple suicides, French, Swiss, and Belgian authorities launched investigations into the group's activities, leading to tightened regulations around cult-like organizations. Similarly, the Heaven's Gate tragedy prompted renewed efforts in the United States to monitor and regulate potentially dangerous fringe groups. It's undeniable that the beliefs and actions of these groups have had far-reaching implications, raising questions about the limits of personal freedom, the power of belief, and the responsibility of society to protect its most vulnerable members. The echoes of their tragic ends continue to reverberate, serving as a stark reminder of the potential dangers when belief becomes unmoored from reality. The stories of the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate compel us to question, to challenge, and to remain vigilant, ensuring that the lessons learned from these tragic events continue to inform our understanding of belief, manipulation, and the human quest for meaning. As we delve deeper into the rabbit hole of UFO cults, we encounter an array of theories that veer into the territory of the extreme and the fantastical. Some speculate that these cults are not mere manifestations of human belief gone awry, but rather the result of deliberate manipulation by forces both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. One theory that has gained traction in certain circles posits that these cults are the result of covert mind control experiments conducted by shadowy government agencies. It's a claim that harks back to the days of MK-Ultra, a real documented CIA program from the 1950s and 60s that aimed to research mind control and chemical interrogation methods. Some suggest that these cults are the modern-day equivalents, psychological operations designed to understand and control the human mind, cloaked under the guise of UFO belief to maintain plausible deniability. Another theory, more sinister still, suggests that these cults were involved in occult rituals that transcended our earthly perceptions of time and space. Allegedly, the mass suicides prevalent in these groups were not mere acts of devotion, but sacrificial rites aimed at appeasing or communicating with extraterrestrial entities. This theory ventures into the realm of the metaphysical, a dark intersection of belief, ritual, and the paranormal that echoes ancient practices of human sacrifice in the name of appeasing gods or spirits. Then there are those who suggest that these cults were not merely influenced by extraterrestrial beliefs, but were directly orchestrated by alien entities. They suggest that these groups, from the solar temple to Heaven's Gate, were in actual communication with alien life forms who manipulated these believers into enacting their destructive final acts. If we entertain this theory, we're forced to confront the notion of extraterrestrial beings as not benevolent, enlightened guides, but as entities capable of profound deception and harm. These extreme theories, while outlandish to some, offer a glimpse into the depth and breadth of speculation surrounding UFO cults. They underscore the human propensity for seeking answers, even in the most unlikely of places. Yet they also serve as a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in uncritical acceptance of belief. They challenge us to question, to scrutinize, and to maintain a healthy skepticism, even as we remain open to the mysteries of the universe. As we draw the curtain on this exploration of UFO cults and human sacrifice, it is important to remember that despite our efforts to unravel these enigmatic groups, a substantial amount remains unknown, buried perhaps beneath layers of conjecture, secrecy, and time. The physical evidence, the testimonies, the historical records, they all tell us something, but they don't tell us everything. The motives of these cult leaders, the psychological state of their followers, the truth behind their alleged extraterrestrial communications. These elements continue to elude our grasp. The lingering question of whether these cults were simply human constructs born of fear and fascination, or something more sinister, something orchestrated by unseen extraterrestrial hands, remains a matter of debate and speculation. Then there's the matter of the rituals themselves. What significance did these hold for the members? Was there a symbolic or metaphysical purpose that transcends our understanding? Were these so-called sacrifices simply the tragic byproduct of distorted belief? Or were they, as some suggest, a form of communication or appeasement to the alleged extraterrestrial entities? The rituals, their origins, and their true meaning may forever remain shrouded in mystery. Moreover, if we entertain the darker theories, there are still unanswered questions about the supposed extraterrestrial involvement. If these beings exist, and if they did manipulate these groups, why would they do so? What could they possibly gain from such horrendous acts? Is our understanding of alien life as benevolent and enlightened entities fundamentally flawed? Or are we dealing with a different kind of extraterrestrial creature altogether? In the final analysis, we are left with more questions than answers, a maze of speculation and mystery that only deepens the more we try to navigate it. But perhaps that's the nature of exploring the unknown. It's not about finding definitive answers, but about questioning, about seeking, about challenging our perceptions and understanding. The story of UFO cults and human sacrifice serves as a mirror to our societal fears, hopes, and imaginings about the unknown. It exposes the lengths to which humans will go in search of meaning, of answers, of connection, even to the point of self-destruction. It reminds us of the need for skepticism and critical thought in the face of unverified belief, while also acknowledging the allure of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. As we venture forth into the cosmos, the stories of the Space Brothers and their deadly cults will continue to serve as a cautionary tale. For in our quest to understand the universe and our place within it, we must remember to first understand ourselves, lest we fall prey to the same tragic fate. Until then, the secrets of these cults and the mysteries of the universe will continue to beckon, inviting us to keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep reaching for the stars. Thanks for listening. This has been Cults and Secret Societies. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the Forbidden Knowledge Network on Patreon. Subscribe now.